Now to start things off with our ideas what's happening for today, our first question, and I'll ask it just now, and I might even suggest a couple of things first off, but I'm not going to talk for very much longer. The first question is, if you have made an effort to make connections with others, what was the catalyst for you? And if it's me to answer the question, I'm going to very briefly suggest, I think it was taking a first step. And I think that although my life as a teacher was very much based in technology, not that I use technology as the goal, but I liked to support learning with technology. And that could have been for increasing the fun level. It could be for increasing the ability to interact with textbooks and things, which were oftentimes a very fixed thing, a very plain thing. And some kids just found oftentimes it was too overwhelming in that there's a lot of business on the page, but some was always bored. So I think that for me, reaching out to the other ways of making things exciting. When you have a class who've never used the internet before, and it was my first years of doing so, it's fun to see cartoons on the screen that are helping you learning. It's like, it's engaging, it's new. And these novel ideas for learners was what I think encouraged me to think, okay, where else can we go? What else can we do to keep the interest, to improve the interest?
Okay, well, in my case, the thing was like moving from not just waiting for a formal, let's say, environment to talk about the topics that teachers have in common. So that was what how I started getting connected with teachers. I live in a small town. We don't usually have like meetings where like all teachers can come and get together and talk about professional development opportunities. So we just have to like chase the opportunities. So for me, it was like finding an informal place or just informal meetings to talk about this. So that was the way how I started. When I started to study my master program, I have to do that in Bogota, that is the capital city of Colombia. But I didn't have to travel there. I did that online. It was basically self-directed. And I still have problems with getting connections, like face-to-face connections in my place, because we didn't have like the space, the meeting, the learning, the spaces for teachers to go there and talk about that. So what we teachers do here is like when we have, it could be informal meeting, it could be just like a reunion of teachers. We start our informal talks about topics that can give us opportunities for professional development. These days, like kind of a teacher that is in charge of telling other teachers about the things that we can find online or the opportunities that are available for teachers, because we live in a small town, so we don't have access to all the opportunities that teachers have in big cities. So for me, it was like finding an informal place to do that. So you don't have to wait for a formal meeting to talk about the things that you would like to have for professional development opportunities.
I love that. I'd love to just jump in. I have to tell you, I was shamed by students, right? Like I went into a third grade classroom when had to be like 2009. And I have already put a tweet out there to Tracy Mercier. She, at the time, was a graduate student in one of my classes. She always made it available. Like she would open up her classroom and bring the virtual world as well as, you know, people that could come in as an audience. And I remember these third graders typing away on their net books. How do you spell your name? I told them how to spell my name, and then they were Googling me. And it was the very first time that, like, I'd never even Googled myself. I thought, my gosh, if these third graders, how are we going to meet their needs when they go to the fourth grade, the fifth grade, middle school, high school? They're in my college classroom. Like, I tip my hat to Tracy Mercier because she was a really early adopter for being connected. And it changed me as a learner, not just as an educator. And I've never been able to teach the same as a result. Like, that idea of breaking down classroom walls for meaningfully and deliberately connecting and collaborating with others. So mine all goes back to students. My why goes back. And anyways, I love that we are able to represent so many different, I think Michael said 5 different continents right now. I mean, this is the beauty of being connected.
Yeah, it is.
For me, I was a student in a rural school. There was no internet, and my teachers was my windows to the world. So I have to inspire my children. And today, all the world is a small city. I joined Microsoft Educator Community, and I discovered new ideas. I joined many global events. So it was a great opportunity for me and for my students to connect with others, to discover new ideas, to discover other culture, to inspire other teachers, and others inspires us. So I am really a connected teacher, and I am a twinning member, and I am a trainer in my city. I connect with other teachers to help them, to encourage them to connect and use 21st century skills in our classrooms. I am so happy, and I learned many things from others through connecting classrooms with British Council. We participated in International School Award, and we win the award because we make more connections with other teachers around the globe. And we participated in many global events like Hour of Codes, International Peace Day, Teachers Day, Women's Day, because I am a SDGs ambassador. We are lucky teacher and lucky students.
Oh, great.
I have to say there are so many similarities between what Sandra said and Croatian culture. Croatia is altogether 4 million people. Zagreb that I live in is 1 million people, but the mentality is of a smaller town. People are very judgmental of one another, and they're very reluctant to join any kind of conversation, being afraid to be commented on afterwards. I thought it was 2015 that was a turning point for me. I'm very happy with my school team, and I have fabulous teachers, but I just needed somebody else's opinion, someone from the outside that wasn't emotionally involved in what we were doing, that was critical enough to provide some kind of feedback if we were instinctively, doing the right thing. And the first step was not virtual, it was CESA annual conference in Dubrovnik. CESA is an organization that provides education for teachers in American international schools. And there were 400 teachers from over 40 countries. And the conversations that they had were open, ego-free. Everybody talked about, not only about their success, but about the missteps that they took, which was quite a relief, frankly. And that's where it all started. The first connections happened there. I opened my Twitter account and started researching. And a few years later, we have Connected Educators Appreciation Day. And I've been participating in many online conferences, helping some of the platforms to be launched or updated. As a team leader and as a teacher, I do get several points of view at the same time, which can come in handy. I got advice on how to write, because I'm writing textbooks. On some of the conferences, I got fabulous advice about the tools to use, which made me self-publisher now. Just one step leads to another, and now 4 years later, 12 textbooks for English as a second language learning. Now a book in progress about the method that's behind the success of my school. One thing leads to another. It was really hard. The first question, as I wrote in the blog post, I just couldn't remember how it all started, but I know for sure that it won't end. You just can't go back to who you were before you met all these wonderful people. Just to hear your story, Monia, that got me going for the next week.
I guess for me, the catalyst for me, when I was still teaching, still at my primary school in Melbourne before I embarked on my current journey, we were involved in a school project with 4 Victorian schools here in Australia and 4 primary schools and 4 primary schools in Italy. And between the 8 of us, 8 schools, we were sharing and collaborating with our project, a unique sister school project. So we were sharing resources, and the students, my students, were obviously communicating in their Italian with their peers over in Italy, and we had Skype meetings. And just being able to share our work with each other, I definitely think that was the catalyst for me. So much so that I left my beautiful class students in 2014 and moved to Italy to work with those English teachers for our project, which we then ended up presenting at the World Expo in Milano in 2015. And my students from Melbourne and students in Italy, we all came together to present at this project, at this expo. So definitely the catalyst was with the kids, meeting and learning with the other kids.
That's amazing that we have these, diversity is amazing. Again, like I'm saying, we come from the same place in terms of where we're going with the kids, but what a different journey, and what an amazing journey we've all been on together at different times. To meet up here is remarkable. I think it's great.